Well, every progressive society is built on a strong representative democracy. What happens within the political parties is of utmost importance to the realities of a nation. Now, the individuals chosen by the people to represent them is a reflection of their convictions, standards, human values, and expectations. While there is great focus placed on the presidential election, it's important to note that elections of the individuals to represent the people are just as important. Welcome to VSA. I'm Sulai. Now, representative democracy has been one of Nigeria's greatest political struggles, as the right people are sometimes denied a chance to represent their people. Now, the 2023 elections are ahead, and some Nigerians are willing to test the waters, test how well their plans and projections are understood, but must first sail the high waters of party politics. Democracy is built from within these party walls, and what Nigeria sees today is not unconnected with the lopsided attention paid to representative politics. How important do Nigerians consider representative democracy? What does it mean to the people? Joining me to unpack this is the APC aspirant, House of Representatives for Arochukwu-Ohafia Federal Constituency, Mary Ikoku. Also, Kunle Lawal, who's the Executive Director, Electoral College, Nigeria, and Dr. Ademola Bayonle, he's the YPP governorship candidate in Osun State in southwest of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to VSA. Now, let's start with you, Mary. And you have quite a strong social presence, especially amongst women and locals. Is that why you have chosen to get into representative democracy, or what does that actually mean to you?
Well, part of it, thanks to Life for that very direct question. First off, I think the representative democracy is the one where you send people to go and represent you in terms of legal framework, legal framing, using the policy making on your behalf. And oftentimes, for all of these years, I've been among other citizens of this country. We've been sending representatives to represent us in various constituencies. And in the last couple of years, you've seen me advocate for good governance, advocate for the right laws for the protection of women and girls and our young people. And, you know, it gets to a point where you sit from your comfort zone and continue to do advocacy and continue to use legal instruments to see how you can better the life of the people. But when you continue to push as a citizen, you then realize that, particularly what just happened with the 5 gender bills of Nigerian women, which we were part of the people who contributed to the framing of that law, you know, which led, as it was roundly rejected, which led to us occupying the National Assembly for about a period of 1 month. You see, it hit me right there that there was really nothing for the women in the House of Representatives could have done. And there are a total of, I think, 694 members of the National Assembly. But out of this number, only 24 are women. So in terms of representation, you could tell that there is there's no amount of lobbying that the 24 women out of the rest of this number could make a lot of impact. So it hit me right there that advocacy is good, legal framework is fantastic, screaming from outside is wonderful, but if you really want to make that desirable impact, you may at some point need to leave your comfort zone and join this beautiful water of politics. I don't want to say it's murky, even if they say it's the murky water of politics. I'm joining the fray because it wasn't an easy time sitting in the scorching sun, demanding that the National Assembly reverse the bills that they roundly rejected from Nigerian women. So I thought that putting my hat in the ring is one way to lead by example. It's one way to solve the problems. It's one way to get the common goods that we've been fighting all of these years, that were to give true, effective, and qualitative representation for my people, the people of Arochukwu, Ohafia Federal Constituency. And I can only do this through an election. And 2023 affords me that opportunity to see how best I can help my people to solve problems using the instrument of the law.
Let me jump in here. Apologies, Mary. Apologies, button in there. We'll also make do. We understand that while the telephony and internet connection where you are at the moment is poor, but we'll also make do with that. Let me bring in Ademola Bayonle, who is a member of the YPP. Again, thanks for your time. Let's start talking about what informed you running. Sometimes politicians say, in this part of the world, they say, my people have asked me to run. My people want me. And it makes sense when we start looking at representative democracy here. So, Bayonle, help us here. What's the intention?
Thank you so much, Sulaiman. It's amazing being on your show and sharing thoughts with Nigerians. So, it's largely a call to service, and that's what I would say. I mean, I'm a physician bound to oath to save people's life, and I feel that this is more of a greater cause for why I exist, essentially. Leadership, as I now understand, is an active process that actually involves all our lives, from when we were born to when we die. There's an invisible hand of leadership in everything we do. And that leadership is an active process, active participation. I mean, you hear everybody complains, but people don't join or throw their hat in the ring. And I have decided, because of the passion I have and share for actually changing process, saving lives and making sure people's existence is meaningful, even from an offshoot of my career as a medical doctor, into jumping right into the boat and saying, yes, this is what I think that will make a meaningful part of my existence. We cannot sit by the sideline and continue to complain. It is imperative that we all contribute our part, either by participating or putting our, joining either teams or doing so many part of politics. So that is why I have. It's a cause that I think is worthy, that everybody should actually at some point in our life do. You can, as a professional, sit down in your office and think you're safe, but you're still very much impacted by the type of leadership that exists around you, your career, your environment, the type of life you live is essentially formed by the type of leadership. So you have to, as a matter of fact, participate in one way or the other. Actually, voting is even one way. Joining civil society is another way. But I have decided to throw my hat in the ring because I understand that also for youth, it's time to actually show the capacity and the character we have. It's something people all say that youth are this, they are that. But I think our generation needs somebody like me to actually bring forth that competence. It's been a long time. We have seen people of my age group, people of that look like me in this type of political circle, because of the type of politics we practice. So it's also a demonstration of what we can do. And thank God Osun State for election, for instance, is out of the general cycle. We're facing election in the next couple of months. I think it's the best pilot to even test 2023 elections. So bringing forth the capacity of the youth and the intellect and what we have to showcase is also another thing informing my decision to run for this office.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Dr. Bayonle, but this time let's bring in Kunle Lawal. He's of the Electoral College. And Kunle, you know, for some, perhaps some were amazed to find that Nigeria has a body, you know, so-called Electoral College. Let us in on what you and your team are doing, especially now that Nigeria is walking towards that big moment for the big election.
Thank you very much. It's always been the idea of the Electoral College to literally educate Nigerians. So we deal with political literacy, which we termed politeracy. And therein lies the problem which we have. Number one, you can't engage a system that you do not understand. There are 469 members of the National Assembly, 360 in the House of Assembly, and 109 in the Senate. Now, talking about representative democracy, how do we intervene? So we get across with aspirants and we tell them, look, you're in legislative position. Yes, you have access to constituency projects, which are not constitutional, actually. But we also tell them, look, your job here is to propose bills, amend, make laws, do oversight for the executive. We also talk to people within the executive powers and tell them, look, this is how you execute laws. This is how you should operate. The major problem we have in Nigeria is that the electorate, and surprisingly, over 73% of people in elected office do not understand jurisdictions of their office. Hence, they are not able to function literally. So that's where the problem lies. So if the electorate doesn't know what to demand from people in elected office, and then the people in elected office don't know what to do while in elected office, it's a big problem. You have people in the National Assembly who have spent about 14 years costing Nigeria over 2 billion naira in allowances. They haven't proposed one bill in the House. That's because they don't even understand that their job majorly is making laws. We've looked at it, even the electorate, all they demand from them is roads and etc. And you find aspirants too in that system talking about roads, talking about no bills necessary, no legislative bills to try to structure the way things operate or the way things go. So the Electoral College stands at that bridge of trying to, educate. We've taken governance to religious institutions. We're also, we've trained over 9,000 people virtually, and we plan to do a lot more. We plan to at least get close to 100,000 before the 2023 election. And, we're also, helping advise on matters, concerning political parties. We work across political parties. And we also look at something as debates. We think what's most crucial is the right people handling debates, electoral debates, because you find a situation where people are not asked the right question according to their jurisdictions, or statistics are not fact-checked, and all these other things cause a whole lot of problem. Like I said earlier, you can't engage something you don't understand. So if the electorate is more educated and the people in office are more educated, then we'll be able to deliver good governance in Nigeria. This task, of course, is carried by the Electoral College Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, Kunle, it takes me back to Mary, and, it would seem as if, you're losing one of those people now to the mainstream politics who's been out there helping to sensitize people, and as Mary. Mary, we'll come back to you. Now, what do you think is poorly structured at the moment with how the people are represented that you want to turn things around for good?
So that's an interesting question, So there is something that have continued to elude us as electorate and even people who are representing us. And that's qualitative representation by consultation, collaboration, and cooperation. These are the 3 C's which are often missing and lacking in what we have currently. And this is something that I thought I'll be bringing to the table, like to have robust consultation with key stakeholders. So I think Kunle did mention constituency projects being off color or something like that. But the truth is that constituency project is actually something that is embedded in the executive. So when you see a legislator whose primary role is lawmaking, coming to the National Assembly and the focus is constituency project. If it doesn't engage in qualitative representation by these 3 C's that I've mentioned, which is consultation, collaboration, and cooperation, it will elude that person in the sense that it will go cup in hand, just following anybody and sucking any kind of foot to get his constituency projects approval and contract awarded. You see, when you are doing that, you bootlick the executive. But if you are able to implement the 3 C's, it will be easier for you that while you are maintaining the standard of a qualitative lawmaker who is grounded in the work, in the primary responsibility of lawmaking, you will become a catch that even the executive will want to carry your friendship because you would have, through the 3 C's, built that friendship, because you must be also somebody of character, somebody that has competencies and capacity to deal in this core at this very level. So there are also issues of where people are not looking at, you will build a cordial relationship with the government, the executive. But when we keep talking about rubber stamp legislation, it is where people who focus on constituency projects, which I'm happy that Kunle mentioned that. When your focus is on a constituency project, the tendency to always succumb, to always compromise with the executive becomes very high. But if you're there to represent your people, you will be able to have strategy. You'll be able to conduct yourself in that manner where you will really bring on board true representation. And then you know that your primary responsibility is lawmaking. You must be able to hold, some of these legislators don't even hold key stakeholders and town hall meetings with the people they represent. You don't go to Abuja and you believe you know the problem of your people. And after the election is all over, you must have intermittent, quarterly, or decide on how you want to have that breakfast meeting or town hall meetings with the needs and begin to look for ways to solve those problems for them. Representation is about problem solving. It's not about going to become a big man in Abuja. It's not about going to have retinue of vehicles and convoy following you. No. If we begin to have people who think of service, who think of representation, they will understand their place in terms of legislation. They will understand their place in terms of oversight function. And I'm not talking about oversight function that have the color of Ghana must go. I'm talking about oversight function where when you're done with your oversight function, the person won't even be ready to offer you any bribe. We have people in the representative who are doing their bit. You may not hear about them, but I'm glad to say that we have people who are doing representation, and those are the kind of people I look to build relationship and strong alliances.
Let me jump in here and go straight to the man who's interested in coming in as governor of Osun State, Dr. Bayonle. Listening to Mary and also Kunle talking about sensitization, enlightenment. I want to ask, have you managed to weigh how efficient the current representative democracy or politics is in your state?
Well, great question. It's been the same across board. I don't think Osun State is left out with all these issues or myriads of problems concerning representation, even in the legislative and executive arm of government. People really just go there for their own benefit. We do not have leaders. I've always said most of our politicians are just politicians, like I said. Leaders actually have progressive, have transformative plans, have all the rest, have great plans for their people. It's all about the service to their people. But most of these people just want to go home with fat bags. The legislative arm has been really, really poor. It's all about having programs, sharing bikes, sharing all kind of things to people. And according to what Mr. Kunle said, people don't really ask questions. They all just, the rep is around, the senator is around, his job is actually just to give us bikes or hairdressers and what have you. And this is becoming chronic. I mean, we've been on this democratic path for the past 20 years. And what the expectation of people from leaders is really, really malign. You will be surprised what people are expecting from who govern them. Essentially because also the politicians or the leaders have actually never come straight to actually be leaders and actually move these people from point A to point B. So firsthand, I have experienced that, even trying to convey our manifesto, trying to talk to people, trying to work against these money bags and bad leadership that the country has experienced. Where we started with a foundation, and what we were trying to do is to gain entrance into the community in a non-threatening way. You'll be surprised what these people ask and what these people need. It's all about what they ask for is toilets, what they ask for basic amenities, just to put in short. And that's also what they ask from the legislators. In fact, any legislator that is not trying to probably give all these things and probably just doing his regular formal legislative duties might not get a re-election, because the attitude of the people are used to, oh, this is what our rep, this is what our senator, this is what our governor is supposed to do. A governor for over 40 years who has done absolutely nothing more than share rice every Christmas or every month is probably a better governor than governor trying to improve education, trying to improve their livelihood. So we are really in a really big pot of mess, and I'm happy with the work that everybody, at least on this crew, is trying to do. Because from my own perspective, it's a future I'm trying to build. And I see myself in the next 30 years, I'm asking myself, what am I going to meet in that future? Is this the kind of people we're all going to grow up together? Is this the type of leadership we're going to grow up and pass on from one generation to the other? Because I know my needs as somebody who is exposed internationally. I know my basic amenities. I know I need electricity. I need internet. I need good roads. I need all kind of things, not a bag of rice. Not the hairdressers, not all that things that really does not matter. And that is why our community continues to die every day, essentially, because whatever the legislators, the governors and everything they are passing down goes into like a pocket, and it does not hit the community. In Osun State, for instance, you see a lot of schools that are dilapidated. In fact, if you see their score sheet, you'll be surprised that literally is this what you have done in 4 years. So it's a really, really pot of mess. And I hope that the crops of leaders that are coming in are able to clean up these tables. It's really a job to do. And
let me bring in Kunle, because now I think Kunle and his team and others that have the job cut out for them. Kunle, are you working with the electoral umpire, that is INEC, or the political parties, or Nigeria's National Orientation Agency? Because the issue of sensitization is very key here. People need to understand, aspirants or candidates like Mary and Bayonle.
Yes, of course, we've been working with, at least 6 or 7 political parties. And we've been working in tandem with INEC, all other partners, a lot of other partners in the game, and that's in the democratic space. And we also have a standing partnership with the National Orientation Agency. I think the rhetoric for the Electoral College and why it's so hard why it's actually a little more difficult, or the weight is heavy on our shoulders, is that we actually come out and give, real statistics. So I'll give an example. Most people in Lagos do not know that the 20 local governments in Lagos from PAC allocations receive above 300 million a month. Now, this is not even, this is what
I want you to say that again. Let's hear you again.
PAC allocations to local governments, 20 local governments in Lagos, are above 300 million per month to each local government. And what people think is that, okay, let's point at the president. But guess what? The local government chairman does not have immunity. And this is not what's commonly being said. So if you knew he didn't have immunity and you find out that there has been corruption in any way, sue him to court and he will go to jail. That's what will happen. Whether he gives the money to the governor or whatever happens, we don't know what happens, and I can't say what happens. But I think 300 million at least for each local government, even if split into 40 LCDAs, it means everybody is taking over 150 million a month, and nothing is clearly being done. So these are the kind of situations, these are the kind of problems. I've told people, go to your aspirants, ask them, what bills are you placing in the House? That's what I'm teaching people to think. What kind of bills are you placing in the House? How are you going to represent me? The truth is that the legislature, as much as we've ignored it, the legislature is actually the foundation of democracy. If you study what happened in Greece, it was a representative government. And that is where everything happens. But I think I will not say we've had a legislature that has been in slow motion. I think they're still in 99. And so a lot of us are in 2022. So you have that problem. Nigeria, I think the US legislature passes at least 4,000 amendments in a year. I don't think Nigeria gets up to 200 or 250 in a year. And that is poor. It's highly poor. And these are things we really need to push forward. So you have a situation where most people are saying the constitution is bad. I'll tell you, I've read the Nigerian constitution. I've walked around the Nigerian constitution. The constitution is not bad. It's poorly implemented. It's not implemented up to 40%. And then it's not even updated as regularly as it should match the president. And that fault lies in the National Assembly. So I really want to see the kind of aspirants that will be going to the National Assembly in 2023, because for me, the entire change in Nigeria we're looking for will happen there. Yes, of course, we have...
Let me jump in while I stay with you for a bit here, Kunle. Do you think it's deliberate to starve the electorate, of such knowledge as you have just exposed, especially as it relates to grassroots governance?
Yes, I think it's a deliberate attempt, because if the electorate were as educated as they should be, I don't think 96% of the people holding political positions will hold them, and that is the honest truth. But I think what has happened is that the politicians have found out that this is key. The electorate do not know, so let's play around it. You could imagine it goes as crazy as governors trying to sack local government chairmen, an elected trying to sack an elected. It doesn't make sense. And these are things that can happen. The Constitution clearly states these are separate arms of government, and these are things that are not supposed to be. But because the people do not know, you can pass anything by them and claim a law or whatever and hide behind it. And that has been the tradition since. Even let's look at the way we even talk about politics. I'll say, yes, PVCs are great. I've always said that PVCs are great. But do you want to know what's greater? Across 18 political parties that we have right now, we have less than 1 million delegates across all elections. But they will pick the candidates that we will now have to be forced during an election to vote for, which means in Nigeria, we do not have an election. What we really do have is a selection.
So I think we'll come back so that you can expatiate more on that. Let's come to Mary, and it has to do with, we already know that you're running under the national ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, and you've always been close to, your constituents and younger Nigerians. But now we're talking about party politics, which also poses its own challenges. So how do you get to convince your party that you have what it takes to fly its flag?
Okay, that's a good one. So my party doesn't really need convincing. They know me and they know my capabilities. They know what I stand for. They know what I can deliver. They know my competencies. I mean, I'm not just fresh out of water. I've been somebody who's been a strong voice in this country. I've been a strong voice for good governance, and I've continued to give my voice towards policy directions and all of those. I've also been in government, served at different levels, first as special advisor to two great women in this country, Professor Dora Akunyili and Dr. Kunle Lawal. And also I've headed up subsidy reinvestment and empowerment program. So these are things I've acquired around government and public sector and development. So I'm not new to the game. My party knows, the party is aware of my strength. But I want to touch, so that's not a problem, but how am I going to weather the storm and play the party politics, which I haven't played before? So I've been, you haven't heard of me talking about putting posters all around. All I've been doing is consultation in the last couple of months. I've been around the party structure. First, with the right structure is the first thing to do. That I've done very well. And also to work for my party. I was a national delegate to my party in the last convention and just recently held convention. I was also a member of the convention planning committee in the media and publicity committee. And you know what that means. So I've been around and the party know me very well. But one thing I want to touch on is the issue of this there's an issue of public office and accountability, which I term the POA. It's in the line of this constituency project, because I heard Kunle literally say it's not legal or unconstitutional. I don't know the word he used, but it's something I really need to get him to explain further, because I think that the constituency project fund is I know this much, that is the quarterly project allocation targeted towards constituency level projects to build infrastructure and enhance development, particularly those aiming to combat poverty at the grassroots. So if you're a representative, that fund should be very important to you. But where it comes with all these stories is that the constituency fund is actually one of the primary legislative responsibilities, and an assignment which I feel that in my tenure, when I'm given this opportunity, that these funds will be brought back to the owners. What has been going on is that the constituency funds haven't been brought back to the owners. When it brought back to the owners, the people of Arochukwu are happier, where it will be channeled and utilized effectively within the 2 local government areas that I'm representing, through the appropriate executive agencies of government, to identify projects that will get to and impact on the lives and communities of the people you represent. I think this is where what is lacking. I think this is where the citizens need education, because if they can own this project, they know that this is their project and you need to bring that money back to them. My own is to ensure that appropriation of such projects and also follow-up funding and execution. We need to drive for accountability in the application of the constituency and all project fund, because I think this is where in the application of towards the delivery of the federal projects in your constituency, to ensure that such projects are duly implemented and not abandoned. That is the role of a representative. If your representative doesn't ensure that happens, then this will negate the whole aim of the constituency fund. And that's why I think you will hear this kind of comment from Kunle, my friend, who I believe knows so much about the tenets of this project. So bottom line is to say that the people need to really know what belongs to them. And it's unfortunate, I must say, that my own party, the All Progressives Party, Congress, is supposed to be a party of progressives. So if it's a party of progressives, I have no doubt that a person like myself will emerge candidates during the primaries. I have no doubt about that, because this is a party of progressives. They will know that, there are other people in the race, but party politics will go on, but progressives will always field candidates that are able to win elections. Nobody wants to lose in an election.
Before I go to Bayonle, you're also a communicator, and you didn't use the conditionality clause there of if. You said when elected. How sure are you?
Okay, so on the scale of 1 to 10, I think I've done like 9/10 of the work that I need to do. So when you've done this, there are also delegates for these primaries. I've been doing my rounds. I've been in the Southeast in my constituency. I live here now. So this is not something you leave to chance. So barring any last-minute surprise, I will coast to victory. And when I use when,
let me come to Dr. Bayonle, and people watching from across the continent, they're excited looking at all three of you, young Nigerians, young Africans, and they also think that there must be more to populate the system. Dr. Bayonle, quickly here, are there things you've been able to identify in your state that you can fix with effective governance when elected?
Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to chime in a little bit from the last speaker's comment when she said that a party is supposed to be a party of progressives. And it's really, that actually kicks home because I'm sure a lot of people will be surprised, and a lot of people don't think much about other parties like the Young Progressive Party, and they probably also think that parties really do not, all those kind of parties do not help. When parties play a large part of governance, it's extremely important. In fact, it's one of the reasons that people usually fail. I don't think people in our political party like eloquent and educated and intelligent people like her. Their choice of candidates is extremely different, and that's why someone like me has deliberately sidelined those kind of parties to pitch a tent with the party I feel that I can deliver. What have I?
No, hold on, Dr. Bayonle, don't be too quick to go. Is it a case of what you've highlighted, or a case of you not being able to bulldoze your way, into any of the two major parties? Is it an issue of principles or ideology?
It's a well-informed decision, actually. I mean, all parties have to do primaries. They have to go through elective processes. And in fact, it will be interesting to get more of a perspective, of course, to the general public about how aspirants are being elected or being moved into the candidacy being bucket. It's literally you'll be surprised how that transition comes in. It's literally an unintelligent and a process that does not really favor intelligent people or progressives, like she also mentioned. I have consulted when we started this race. We went around the parties, and we actually saw that it's not a credible process. And people who are supposed to elect you have extremely different intentions for your candidacy. Who can listen to us? Who has the most money to run elections? Nothing about your what you can deliver. Nothing about your competence. So if you go around preaching manifestos and doing all kind of things, it really doesn't make sense in all these big parties that we have. And we can literally see our community being led for more than 2 decades by the same crop of people just flipping coins, just flipping each other. And what the quality of the people that eventually migrate is is how our environment is. So my decision essentially is not because I can bulldoze myself through. I feel that I represent my generation, and I cannot afford to fail. If somebody of my age group goes into office and actually gets on one of those tickets, we are literally mostly bound to fail, because there's a lot of friction in those kind of parties. You talk about leaders. These people are not there because of how to help their community. We talk about all kind of godfatherism in those kind of parties. A lot of good people are in the party, but you see the party structure does not help bringing forth a credible candidate. That's not how it's done. And this is well informed of somebody who has over the years met so many politicians, especially in my state and across Nigeria, asking questions and trying to see how we can actually align with a platform so that a youth like me can promise the people something and essentially deliver on that promise. It is essentially, and I tell people, if you're trying to do politics, you are my age, politics is like an apprenticeship. You learn whatever the fathers have done, you look at them, all these collaborations and all these consultations, there's really nothing intelligent about it. It's about, do we like your face? Is it your turn? Who is your father? What can you do? How much are you spending? And all those kind of rough stuff. You will be surprised. And if you can ask her how many times people have actually asked her of what she wants to do, literally what she wants to do, probably 2 or 1 out of 100 do that. So That is my own experience. And of course, it's not a short-term experience. I've been in the game for quite a while back and helping politicians across board. So that is why I pitch my tent.
Okay, let's bring Kunle back again here. Kunle, keep in mind, Mary wanted you to also expatiate more on the constituency project, which you mentioned. But quickly here, you know, some leaders in Nigeria don't know what their constituents want or what they go through because they hardly appear there. Here in Lagos, a lot of people would attest to the fact that especially those who live in the hinterlands of Lagos, their representatives live in the highbrow Ikoku, Lekki axis. How can the Nigerian political terrain help to boost democracy, especially through knowledge as given by the Electoral College of Nigeria?
So I'd first like to state this. When they say politics is local, our translation that is wrong is that we think politics is going to the hinterlands. That's not what it means. Politics is local, literally translated, means you have to be accessible while running for office and while in office, meaning you have to be accessible by the average person coming to you. But Nigerians have invented what politics local means. That's another thing. So I think the more educated our electorates are, I think the better we will be able to see things. And my dear friend, senior friend Mary mentioned something earlier. So I'd like to expatiate on, constituency projects. Now, we'll start with the history of constituency projects. We started sometime in, I think, preceding 2007. And if you check the Nigerian constitution, exactly where the functions of the National Assembly is and the jurisdiction of their functions and what exactly they do, you won't find constituency projects there. And that's why I said it is unconstitutional, meaning it's not a constitutional right. If I remember, it was a gift given to the National Assembly when somebody wanted to enhance it to a 2008 third-term agenda. And that's how constituency projects came about. Check legislative across the world. Nobody has constituency projects except their Nigerian legislature. But let's skip all that. I really like what I'm hearing from Mary and Dr. I was in their position in 2019, and it's kind of as the political terrain heats up. I'd really love to see there, because there are people that, of course, are well-minded and well-rounded. I'd like to see how their interventions in their parties and how this proceeds into canvassing for votes preceding 2023. I'd like to really see how that will go about. And I will always say I always offer my services to be able to help get this, because the target is a Nigeria that we all can be proud of and we all can call our own. I always tell people something, and this is how it should be. Most of the conversations you hear on social media, on even regular media, it's so emotional and void of logic that we do not understand what exactly goes on. We can't even engage the system that goes on. I can tell you how bad it is. Well, a lot of media houses will write candidates instead of aspirants, or aspirants even candidates. Now that's the fourth estate who is even supposed to provide information, and they can't seem to tell the difference. So I think there's massive quagmire in political literacy in Nigeria, and it goes across everyone. I can tell you, we've trained local government chairmen who didn't even know what part they were. I can tell you the average person doesn't know that the councillors are supposed to be the National Assembly of the local government. That's not common knowledge. And councillors that are sitting in office don't even know that. They just think they have constituency power too. They want to do roads, they want to adjust shops, they want to do this, they want to do that. And for me, that's where the real big problem is. If we're able to educate Nigerians and we know what to demand, like we can say, okay, the president doesn't have the power to do that. No, you can't do that. Mr. President, you can't do that. Or Mr. Legislator, you can't do this. Or Mr. State Governor, you can't do this. Or local government chairman, you go to jail. I will sue you to court because you don't have immunity. You can't do this. Till we get to that point, Nigeria will continue to be a political wet dream of the rich. Thank you.
Well, and Mary, you see, we're coasting home now. Let's see if we can actually, in the next 10 minutes, get, around some of the key things we highlighted now. politics is something that a lot of people are still trying to get a better understanding of. And Kunle has said something about his experience in 2019. And I'm looking at some of the messages from people watching, and they're excited, saying young people. Now, the elections are, you know, out there, but how easy it is for younger Africans, younger Nigerians to make incursion into mainstream politics like yourself, Mary?
Thanks. I think that the All Progressives Congress continue to improve on bringing on young people. You can see the national women leader of the All Progressive Congress now, Betta Edu, is an under 40 young woman. The same thing with the national youth leader. There was a time the youth leader used to be 60 and 70. So you can see we are evolving consistently. There are a lot of things are changing. And the Not Too Young to Run bill has also dropped, upscaled the number of young people who have been able to come into the political space, and especially women political participation. The last Supreme Court judgment that sees 35% affirmative action for women is also there for us to take from. I do not see any political party not having some of these key indices at heart when they are choosing or when they are electing, when they're going to primaries. Even in the delegate list, if there are 5 delegates from each ward, there is insistence that there must be 2 women in each of those 5 from every ward. If there are 3 national delegates, 1 out of those 3 must be a woman. So you can see the All Progressive Congress have, intentionally tried to put in women in spaces. And now, even with the sale of forms and making it free for women, although the expression of interest is picked by women at the cost of 1 million naira, these are some of the ways that they try to encourage women. However, it is not enough. You need to go beyond free forms to ensuring that there is proportional representation in when you're in the distribution or election of the candidates during your primaries. You must also make sure that you're bringing candidates who can win elections, people who have the integrity, people who have the right skills and capacity to win elections. So I think that myself I'm not a candidate that is wanting. I believe that my party will not waste time in making me a candidate. The delegates will have to decide that anyway. And I've been doing my work, and I'm saying that there've been instances where the All Progressives Congress have shown strength in intentionally bringing women and youth on board. It's not enough. They've done their bit, but I think there's also room for improvement. And that improvement is what we will see in the lineup that our party brings forth.
Okay, then let me bring in Dr. Ademola Bayonle. Let us in on how smooth and easy or otherwise the journey has been so far.
It's really been rocky a little bit. There are a lot of challenges of somebody my age group running for office, especially the type of office I'm running for. What we have to understand is that the political processes do not spare the young people. Even naturally, people of my age group are probably just getting the grapple of their lives, just trying to have a family, just trying to settle down. It's difficult to take time out. Politics is full-time. So it's difficult to take time out and to venture full-time into politics without a means. And that's why we have a lot of people these days really doing nothing and enjoying politics. And of course, the cycle of bad governance continue. Well-meaning people of my age group, it's difficult for them to leave whatever career they're doing and throw their hat into politics. The other side of it is, of course, finance. The financial part is heavy. And again, a whole lot of people who are older have social capital. They have accumulated all throughout their lives, friends, relatives, and etc. that probably done well for themselves. People in the younger age groups probably have very little of that, and you have to rely on probably the little carcass that you have to help you financially. It's there are unique challenges for young people, but again, I don't think the party essentially helps. Different type of party helps or considers that you, because you're young or because of what you're going through, oh, there's a different bucket or there's a different type of campaign for you. All the campaign expenses, just jumping over the hurdle of just picking up the form or nomination, it's all yours. And that's all what you have to grapple with. So it's been a lot of work. It's kind of like a no messy island, but it's a struggle that we have to participate in. Like Mr. Kunle
tell me quickly before I go to Kunle, are you running to win, or are you running to make a name as a candidate who ran for election?
I'm 100% running to win. The interesting part is that my candidacy in the state is really popular and people are very open-minded and accepting. In fact, I've been approached by a lot of moneybags and politicians who have been trying to lobby the pool and the work we have done, trying to like bring us down and do all kind of things. But we remain focused, and the point is actually to represent Nigerian youth on the ballot on July 16. We are going to be there. And of course, we have high hopes that the youth of Osun State, the youth of Nigeria, and youth all around the world are going to make a very, very, very giant stride.
Okay, sorry to cut you there. I need to bring in Kunle. Kunle Lawal, help us here. What should the electorate be looking out for the man, or in that man or woman they're looking to electing?
I think the first problem we've had in Nigeria is that we do not have Nigerian candidates or aspirants. So by this, I mean, we do not have aspirants or candidates who love the country first before an ethnic group, tribe, or whatever placement they have chosen, or party. The truth is that we must also understand that parties are vehicles to an office, but in governance, political parties don't matter because you're sworn to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that's what guarantees your seat. And at that point, it means you're loyal to Nigeria. So we have fewer Nigerian candidates. Everybody tries to talk from their perspective. I don't believe good governance is male or female. I don't believe it has a tribe. I don't believe good governance is good governance. But it also must carry one very strong, stringent measure, which is it must be inclusive. And you see it in the aspirant action. So I think the electorate should be looking out for those kind of things. People that actually understand what they want to do, and people that have a track record of doing something. Because most of the time you get to see some names, a person was probably missing his 45 years. It just appears nowhere. And then that's when you start to hear the prison cases here, the fraud cases here. Look for someone who has worked in the system, Nobody just stands up and runs for office. If you stand up and run for office, trust me, you will lose. You have to have built a traction doing something. You have to have built a direction doing something. Be known for something. And I think that's the problem, the biggest challenge most young people actually have. They are not really known for anything. So, but when they come in, they want to act like, they own the show. I don't believe being young or old represents good governance. Good governance is good governance. Young people could make a mess of it. Old people could make a mess of it, regardless of everything. Thank you.
I think it's a fine place for us to say many thanks for being such a nice company. And I look forward to having all three of you back again here on The Square. Many thanks, Mary Ikoku. Best of luck to you and Dr. Ademola Bayonle. And of course, Kunle Lawal. Many thanks for that incisive moment, letting us in on what exactly the people in Nigeria should look out for and be doing. I'm Sulaiman. Bye-bye, Africa.